Hello, check check. This is TEDx live from Bir Himachal. Not too long ago, I was an MBA student sitting for my placements, and I was lucky to get a day one job offer from McKinsey and Company. The salary was great, and my friends and family thought that my life was set, and so did I. In other words, we were optimistic. But a year into the firm, while the work was phenomenal, things started to look a bit different. I struggled to maintain my fitness. My eyes were super strained all the time. And I struggled to maintain my peace of mind. And things didn't look so optimistic anymore. I remember one moment very clearly, which was a big turning point. I used to go to the local swimming club after work to swim as part of my daily workout. And I struggled to reach there somehow by 9:30 p.m. and the pool shut at 10. So there was this one day when I was swimming really fast with one eye on the clock that something hit me hard. That I was swimming fast not because I wanted to beat my personal best timing or I was training for speed, but I was swimming fast because I had no time. What was this successful, coveted life if I didn't have time for my own health? Clearly I was doing something wrong. And that's when I learned my first lesson in optimism, that it's relative. Optimism is relative to time and to people. What may seem optimistic to someone else may not be optimistic for me. Soon I discovered a graph for myself that if I wanted to earn more, I needed to spend either more time, more effort, more stress. But if I learned to live in lesser, then I would have to exert less stress, less time, and the extra I could use to live. So I found Trailblazers in Bombay, a small camping company, and I applied to them. And they replied to me with a job offer, but with a salary that was half of what McKinsey was paying. I decided to take it up anyway. My family thought that it was not a good decision, but I was optimistic. But as I worked at Trailblazers, suddenly the one thing that I didn't have at McKinsey, time, I had plenty of. And that changed my lifestyle completely. I would spend the weekends going camping around Bombay. I bought my own tent and I would go around with my mountain bike. I would go surfing on Sundays, and outdoors became a part of my regular life. But it wasn't all that easy because I wasn't earning as much as I was before. So I started optimizing. When I would go to the mall and see a price tag, I would compare it to something else. That either I can buy this dress or I can do one more dive. And that's when I learned my second lesson in optimism, that optimism is optimization. You can't have it all, but it's about knowing what you want and what you're willing to give up for it. By now, optimism was really working for me, so I decided to push my luck a little bit more. I left my job at Trailblazers for a year of backpacking around India. The plan was to play different adventure sports, ski in Gulmarg, surf along the coast, paraglide in Bir. I started my travel in Kashmir, very happy to be living my dream. But 3 weeks into my ski trip, the coronavirus hit the world, and I found myself locked in at my parents' place in Calcutta. I was doing the exact opposite of backpacking now, being locked in. I was without a job, without a purpose, and things didn't seem so great anymore. I had an idea for an adventure sports app I wanted to build, but I had no background in tech whatsoever. I studied psychology in college, and I didn't have enough money to invest in hiring a coder and so on. But there was one thing which I had a lot of, which was time. So I started to use that time to play with logo design, to play with website design, and in a few months, I put together something that I was happy to share with the world. That was called Adventure Play. That's my baby right now. So things actually turned out better than my original plan, because now when I started traveling again, I had an additional source of income to sustain my travels. Adventure Play also became a way for me to share my love for adventure with the world and keep my mind mentally stimulated as I traveled. And that's when I realized my third lesson in optimism, that optimism is agility. It's not about life going as per your plan, but it's about making the most of what you have. Because sometimes the universe has better plans for you. I started my travel once again. I went back to Kashmir to ski, this time with a dream to ski down from phase 2, which is the top of the mountain. No ski tracks, just the raw path. I bought a ticket for the ski lift and went up to phase 2, quite optimistic. But when I reached up, I realized I had the wrong skis and that my skills weren't up there yet. So I bought another ticket and came back down. And that's when I learned my fourth lesson in optimism, that it has to be backed by realism. Because optimism wasn't about blind faith, it was about having confidence in your own abilities. I started training more every day. I would ski for 8 hours straight, practicing steep slopes. I attended avalanche safety workshops to prepare myself. Started using powder skis, which is a different kind of skis. And a week later, when I went back up to phase 2, I felt much, much more optimistic. And I skied down with all my limbs still intact and having the most wonderful ski run of my life. I traveled for the next 7 months straight, doing the adventure sports I had planned. I reached Bir, ready to learn how to fly solo. And I remember when I was on that cliff ready to take off with just 5 meters of fabric on top of me, I realized that it wasn't a leap of faith that I was taking, because paragliding was a sport not based on luck, but based on skill. And all the 100 rounds I had run on the ground with my glider practicing was all adding up to make the situation optimistic for me. I went to Rishikesh to practice some yoga, and I came across the most wonderful concept, a concept that changed the way I viewed the world completely, a concept called dharma. I'd heard of dharma earlier in religious context, but I started to understand it for what it was. The natural laws of the universe, like gravity, like evolution. The river flowed because it was its dharma to flow, and if it stopped flowing, it stopped being the river. Soon I was back on the road, this time on a mission to find the best surfing spot in India. So I took my car and started driving down from Bombay. And the plan was to go all the way to Kanyakumari and then up to Calcutta. But as I sat in my car, I felt nervous. I hadn't done a trip of this sort ever alone, a 3-month-long road trip. What if I got stuck on the way? What if my car broke down? I went back to my lessons in optimism. I packed it by realism, got my car serviced and so on. But in spite of all of that, this happened. I was stuck in the middle of nowhere with a broken down car and the closest town 100 kilometers away. But somehow it seemed okay, because my optimism wasn't about my car not breaking down. Rather, my optimism was about the journey going well, or life going well. By then, yoga had taught me that life was about being in harmony with myself and harmony with the surroundings. But how to reach this state of harmony? The Vedic philosophy also had an answer for it, something very simple but very difficult to practice. And the real test for me was when I took up my next project, writing a book. The first and most important point was to remove my ego completely. Because the book wasn't about me, as strange as it sounds, but the book was about the experiences of a character, and this character could be anyone. So as I wrote, I had to remind myself not to be attached to the good parts or to be averse to the bad parts. Rather, I should narrate the story as a witness. It was difficult to get into this state, but my daily practice helped me realize that I was just a temporary identity and I would be gone in the blink of an eye. The second point about dharma was always doing my best without expecting anything in return. My dharma was to engage in honest storytelling, and whether the book became a movie or a bestseller was not my lookout. As I started practicing these points in every task I took, in every interaction in my day, life started seeming easy because nothing was personal anymore, and all I had to do was simply do my best. Life also started to seem more harmonious, and I realized that optimism came naturally because optimism was simply a byproduct of harmony. And this is the case I'd like to make for today. that instead of seeking optimism, let's seek harmony, because optimism is simply a byproduct of harmony. Thank you.